Hello there, good to have you with us this morning. Breakfast today with Sally Nugent and John Kay.
Schools in England will be expected to do more to teach pupils about harmful content and online hate against women.
Yeah, as we've been hearing this morning, new guidance from the government on relationships and sex education is being released today, and it'll say that older children need to understand the risks from pornography and broader issues around consent. To explain, here's our education editor, Branwen Jeffries.
The average age to first see pornography is 13 years old. Children have an online doorway into adult realms where influencers spread hateful thinking about women, attitudes and behaviours that spill over into schools. These girls want to push back against that tide. Part of a team of pupils challenging attitudes. The scheme has led to an award for this Leeds secondary.
Boys and girls are both starting to understand the fact that these normalised views in society are just not okay, and that stuff like sexism and sexual assault, it shouldn't be normalised.
I think it's just made me feel better, like if I'm calling something out, they're then not going to go say it to somebody else, and that then stops other people from getting upset about things.
At the end of the day, someone's self-esteem can go in an instant with just one small comment that people would think, oh, it was just banter, it was just a joke.
The girls are aware of incel culture, which stokes anger against women for rejecting men.
How do you think boys in particular get sucked into that rabbit hole?
I think there's a lot of this kind of incel culture that occurs with boys in this generation, really sadly, and it's not only got a negative impact on them because they start to view women objectively, it also has a really bad impact on us, and that's something that causes me a lot of fear with growing up in this society.
New guidance on relationships and sex education says schools in England should focus on positive role models for boys, challenging online myths about women, including incel culture, online risks, including deepfake porn, age-appropriate teaching instead of age limits, so sensitive subjects can be tackled if they come up. Parents will have the right to see teaching materials, a move welcomed by the charity for parent-teacher associations.
We know that if parents are able to view relationship, sex and health education materials that their children are being taught in advance, they are 4 times more likely to be comfortable with that relationship, sex and health education content when it's shown to their children.
Many teachers say even young children are seeing harmful content. Parents may worry about when this is tackled. So what would the head teacher in Leeds say to them?
I do completely understand those concerns, but I think it's really, really important that without being too explicit about the conversations we're having, that we do equip young people with the tools to be able to understand what is right and what is wrong.
These girls want respect and kindness in relationships, issues schools will tackle with the help of this guidance. Branwen Jeffries, BBC News.
We can speak now to Margaret Mulholland, Special Educational Needs and Inclusion Specialist at the Association of School and College Leaders. Morning to you. First of all, what is your reaction to this guidance? It seems very wide-ranging at the moment.
Morning, Sally. Yes, really pleased to have this guidance out today before the end of term. From what I've heard this morning through the headlines, some really important issues being addressed. We've heard about from your correspondence about online harms, violence against women, suicide prevention, all of which school leaders are very pleased to hear will be part of that guidance. I think what's really important to recognise is this guidance is now, statutory guidance is now 5 years old, and in many ways was lagging behind the sort of life experiences of young people. So whilst we really welcome the guidance 5 years ago, this update is overdue.
How much flexibility will schools have when it comes to teaching this part of the curriculum?
Well, I think this is one of the messages that is coming through strongly this morning, that the opportunity here is not to have, as Branwen said, age limitations, but stage recognition and the ability of teachers to respond, not just to react, but to respond positively and constructively to the range of challenges that young people are experiencing in their physical lives and in their online lives. So really timely. That flexibility, that agency of schools and teachers is really important in being able to respond to the needs of their community, but also to follow really the most up-to-date evidence-informed guidance around how to teach some of these complex issues.
What would you say to mums and dads who might be watching this morning who maybe are uneasy about some of these changes and don't exactly know what that might mean for their child or whether that is appropriate for their child? How could you reassure them?
So I think parents will be really pleased with the headlines this morning and with the full report and the guidance. From what I'm hearing, there's clarity and there's flexibility. And there's a very clear message about parents having full access, full transparency to the resources that schools create. Schools are regularly sharing those resources, regularly responding when there's queries and anxiety about what's being covered. I was speaking to an RSHE lead earlier this week who was saying, often parents are concerned about pornography, for example. It's just one of many issues that are complex to teach effectively. But actually, once parents come in, talk about what's going to be covered, why it's going to be covered, the reaction is often, oh, okay, great. That's exactly what we want to hear. So schools are very proactive in this space. They'll have things online, on the website, ready to share. But if there are further requests and details needed, then that too will be available for parents. And that's something that has been part of the process of designing the original materials, that involvement of families, that involvement of parent voice and young people's voice. And we're really pleased that that's an emphasis in the guidance today.
You will know that the three dads have campaigned tirelessly for suicide prevention to be on the curriculum. We're actually talking to them later on today. How much do you think they're campaigning? How much of a difference has that campaign made?
I think it's made a significant difference. Suicide prevention is actually something we requested was added to the guidance, and the school and college leaders know only too well the impact that suicide has on their community. But the concerns that school leaders have about the well-being and mental health issues that young people are facing. So being able to address those issues early, being able to work with experts in the space to understand how to do this effectively and without fear for young people, but also to make sure that the voices of families are part of that ambition to prepare young people and to support them to thrive in terms of their well-being. I think also, the work that's been done around mental health and well-being as a result of online harms is also really important. The work of Molly Russell's family, for example. So I think those campaigns that have featured parent voice have been really helpful in updating the guidance and ensuring that it's informed not just by academic evidence, but also by the data and the life experiences of families.
Margaret Mulholland, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Really interesting, that idea of parent power, that the parents, people like Mike and Andy and Tim, the three dads, have actually pushed this onto the agenda themselves and made a change.
Because life for young people changes so fast and the demands on them change so quickly. They've had to react very, very quickly to this, and updating these guidelines maybe needs to happen a little bit more often.
Yeah, Mike, Andy and Tim, the three dads, will join us here on the sofa at 8:15 this morning to give us their reaction to those changes in detail.